Yeah, we've had a relaxing tea break. The deeper we go into space, the more spaced out we become. पसर के आराम से. Yeah. In this particular workshop, we've taken the I have taken the kind of the head first approach. Okay, we'll deal with some of the things to do with daily life, the daily issues we face, right from things to indecisions to people and our troubles with people and people's troubles with us and the troubles of the world later. We first try to see what exists because this is really the big picture. Again, there are different ways to enter, um, the concept. So I felt that this should be tried in this fashion. Uh, Not that it hasn't been tried before. In the early 90s, this is the way people probably took the sessions. Not perhaps this systematically and obviously not with a projector, but people did, present the core of the darshan, and then they found that it's difficult for people to relate to what is being said. Uh, about 50% of our audience, which is, I mean, progressively, missing. First was completely empty now. धीरे धीरे गायब हो रहे, everybody is getting spaced out. Uh, could not relate directly to the main discovery. Um, so when Nagarajji first discovered and I'll speak more of the discovery towards the end. This is what he really discovered. This one was what he really experienced. All right, and really, this has been like a fundamental inquiry for humankind since time immemorial. Other than learning how to survive and fighting with each other and going after each other's throats, but basically who we are and where we've come from and who created us. And uh, there's been this whole inquiry in our country, right from who am I to I am that to you are that to. Uh, so this is big. Even when you look at Vedanta, there are the four Mahavakyas, they say, which ultimately all the big people from Aurobindo to some of the who we call as the seers in this country have vouched for, which is the Advaita interpretation of Vedanta. Okay, the first line goes Pragyanam Brahman. So the ultimate reality, I mean, is really Brahman is called the ultimate reality, which we are identifying as Shunya or void here, and they are saying that itself is knowledge. Okay. Then it says, I am Atman Brahman. So this Atma itself is Brahman, which is why you become space. Alright. And here, I am Atman is not becoming Brahman. I am Atman is in Brahman. And what is Atma? Atma is the name. Remember, these are nomenclatures, it's names. And we have to be careful, otherwise we've seen that we can fight over not the fact that there is one God, but what it should be named. Yeah, very common. There are three names for the one God. There is only one God and his name, Gaya. The moment you say the name, people have a problem. So the central part of the Jivan atom is called Atma, has been named Atma. The first orbit has been called Buddhi, the second orbit has been called Chit, the third orbit has been called Vritti, and the last orbit has been called the Man. So Man, Vritti, Chit, Buddhi, and Atma. The reason it is called the Atma is because of the definition that we are able to give it. And the definition of the Atma in Sanskrit is Na Agham Te Tisa Atmaha. So that on which no impact can be made is really called the Atma. So the one of the biggest findings in this thought really is the understanding of the central part of the atom, which is called the Madhyasth Kriya. Okay, the central entity in every atom is the one that is responsible for maintaining or regulating that atom. What it basically means, if you recollect when we spoke of the activities in the self, I said that the top 5 activities, that is the Chintan, or contemplation, both or understanding, determination or sankalpa, and anubhav and realization or realization and authentication are incorruptible in every human being, which is why all of us can see the truth in the same way. If all of us were subject to beliefs and all of you like salt and I like sugar and he like imli, we can never be the same. So there is one part of us that is similar and different, and there is another part of us which is exactly the same and which can understand and understand reality exactly in the same manner. And the central, activity in the self is called the Atma. The second significant difference really is that this is not separable. The Atma is not separable from the Buddhi, which is not separable from the Chit, which is not separable from the Vritti, which in turn is not separable from the Man, which we can possibly validate today by seeing that our thoughts can never leave us. Wherever we go, my memories follow me. Wherever I go, my thoughts follow me. Wherever I go, my, taste follow me. It's not that I left my tasting in Pune and came here and got new taste. No, you carry your taste with you. Okay. Which is why when we travel, it becomes a problem because हमारे मनपसंद का खाना नहीं मिलता है. You don't get the food that you like. You don't get the coffee in the morning or the tea in the morning. So my taste is basically following me wherever I go. So I am Atman, Brahman is something that is existentially different here. Okay, it's not something that is one of the findings. Um, Tattvamasi is the third line. You are that. So I am that. उसमें आता है कि Tattvamasi, you are that. It's not Tattvamasi, you are in that. And it's here. It's not that you are this. I mean, you are in this. We are all in this void. The trees in the void. We've built our buildings in the void. It's very interesting. I was once sitting with my teacher and he said, I was trying to, understand space. And he said, you are able to imagine because there is space. I said, what do you mean? He said, when you build a picture of a house in your mind, what are you doing? Imagine a very big house in your mind right now. A big house with 40 feet, ceiling, 50 feet length and 20 feet breadth. Can you imagine it? Expand it with a nice big garden, 1 acre garden, a nice pond and a duck in it. Where are you expanding? Where did this 40 feet go into? In space. You're already in Brahman. So the space is called Brahman. Okay, it is called Brahman because it is Brihat. It comes from the Sanskrit root. Brihat means the vastness, the greatness, that which never ends is called the Brahman. So hence it is called the Brahman. Brahman, if you put it in English. So we are in this Brahman. The multiple galaxies are in Brahman. Those 2 lakh, the 10 lakh crore into the 10 lakh crore planets are in Brahman and Brahman is in it and around it. And all of this is submerged and drenched in this Brahman. So this is a fundamental finding in this darshan. We saw in the next section, we went through this. And so this is the first discovery. This is called Gatan Punta, the occurrence of the constitutionally complete atom. So when we are saying this is a discovery, it basically means that this is being stated for the first time in recorded human history. That's what a discovery is. Yeah? Somebody goes and discovers the North Pole, the South Pole. For the first time in recorded human history, we have, the postulation that the conscious self has actually come from matter, and it is the same atom or the particles that make up the atom that come together in a specific configuration that is now the conscious self and that wants to live and that is indestructible. So this is the first discovery. It's called Gatan Punta, or the constitution perfection. The second one is called Kriya Punta. So once this is formed, it goes to the animal body, comes to the human body, and each activity in it is able to see and recognize the other activity is called Kriya Purnata. So all 10 activities are functional. Before that, it is Kriya Apurnata, which means Apurnata means it is incomplete. So only 4.5 activities are functioning in it. And even today, if you recollect, we said that different people have the light perspective, somebody has a health perspective, somebody has a profit perspective. We all use it in different measures. And that is what makes all of us such different people. Yeah? Somebody is able to have a vision of how the world should be. Somebody has a good vision for the world. Somebody has a bad vision for the world. Somebody doesn't care about vision for the world. He's just interested in his daily chores. We're able to, understand human life and living using this. So this is the second discovery. And the third one really is called Acharan Punta, when the 10th activity in the self is able to recognize or realize itself as being drenched and submerged in space. That is called Acharan Punta. So these really are the three postulated fundamental discoveries in this darshan, and hence it is called Sah Astitwavad or coexistentialism or coexistential philosophy, because units cannot be separated from space, units cannot be separated from any other unit, plants cannot be separated from matter, animals cannot be separated from plants, I cannot be separated from them, I cannot be separated from other humans also. And hence my only choice is to be able to understand it and live in it. Okay, this is a fundamental postulation, hence it is called coexistence workshop. Okay, why is it called Jivan Vidya? The word Jivan is for this conscious entity called Jivan. Vidya means to know all of it via Jivan, hence Jivan Vidya. The word Vid means to know. So Jivan is the one that holds knowledge. I am the one that has this knowledge. This knowledge is not to be found outside in the tree or the rabbit or in scorpions. Okay, they don't have the need to know. They have the will to live. As a human being, I have the will to live with knowledge.
Yeah, Jesse, in a spiritual world, there was an practice which we used to do, like say within I am a soul, I am the child of God, and or I am this which is invisible, I the soul. So like there was lot of visualization,
Yeah.
seeing God as they told us to see what the God is and what the I am. But now here, as you said, I the self is in the space. So is it like we have to visualize this? Like, I am I, which is not the body, which is self, is in the self. So is in the space. So, like when we say Anubhav, so we are talking of living in justice, in harmony with dharma or satya. But like when it comes to looking self into space, what exactly you mean? Like we have to visualize this, or
So visualization is an aid to understanding. One part of understanding is visualizing. Okay, but we have to remember that visualizing happens in the activity called the chitran. All right, and we have to use that visualization to be able to go beyond visualization to see something directly. You have to use visualization. For instance, let us say that I go back from this workshop thinking that I accept, one of the things that I accept is that I have to be now nice to people. Okay, what is this? This is a visual. I am there and I'm nice. But now this instruction that I have, that I have to be nice to people, or I want to be affectionate towards people, and that is what is naturally acceptable to me, is really a line. It's a word, it's a memory. And then I have to go ahead and implement it, which is when I'll be able to see it. See it as in I'll be able to experience it. And then I have to experience it little further and little further and little further. So visualization is an aid or a tool to be able to understand reality. For instance, the diagram on this board is a tool for you to understand the logical sequence of progression. But if you look outside on the grass, you will not see this flowchart anywhere. It's all together. There is a soil and there is water and there are plants and there are humans and they are fighting each other. That's all you see outside. Or they're not fighting each other, or they're confusing each other, or not confusing each other. So it's all together. So when we look at visuals of flowcharts, or that kind of visualization, these are little tools to be able to do it. But specifically for units and space, you don't just have to create an abstract visualization. You can also use the image coming directly to your eyes. For example, I can see there's you and there is Patil sir and there is space in between both of you. I don't have to create some abstract visual inside me. अभी यहाँ के यहाँ दिखता है, right? You know I am different from you and he is different from me because of space. Otherwise, we would all be the same thing. You can see 5 fingers because of the space. This finger means the boundary in space. Like, so there would just be one finger and we would all just be one big blob.
Mm.
So we can understand this. So you can use language and the visuals you see outside to get a glimpse of this inside yourself. Okay? For now.
Like God is God is space. Yeah, Ishwar is space. है ना?
God is on a holiday and there is space.
Yeah, space. So we can, so whatever we call, like, maybe.
Huh? Again, where is he? Somewhere in space. Somewhere in space. First, you have to figure out, decide whether God is male or female. Okay? See, the English God is male. It's always him, never it. The gender belongs to the body. Okay? So, if God is male, then the body of God is male, which means there is another body of another God which is female, which means they're going to have babies, which is why we have so many gods. In this country. Because if a male god and female god get together, it is only obvious that they're going to have babies, which is why we have so many babies. See? There's so many babies. And we're all fighting regarding which baby is whose.
Like, I have a.
God is a figment of human imagination. The way we perceived it.
If I want to experience God or having the deepest, desire to experience Him, what are the steps to experience Him? And
Shravan, Manan, Sakshatkar. And then both. So the entity in you that will ultimately end up seeing space as it is the Buddhi. And finally the Atma. We did cover that the different activities in the self are capable of understanding or accessing different aspects of reality. For instance, if you want to taste tea or food, you have to use your man. You cannot think about tea and taste it. जैसे आपको चाय पीने, मैं बोलता चाय के बारे में सोचो, उससे स्वाद मिलेगा क्या चाय का? नहीं मिलेगा, उसके लिए मन को यूज करना पड़ेगा. Now if I say, is tea good for you or bad for you? Now you have to think. You have to go back to the information you have in your memory saying what does tea consist of. Similarly, if I inquire, what do you really want with your life? You cannot look for the answer. 1 minute में चाट के आपको बताता हूँ what I want from my life. नहीं, you will only be able to taste your skin. It's aswadan. For that, you have to use your chit. You have to inquire in your chit. The first day when we asked the question, what is it that you really want? We were met with a healthy silence. The silence basically meant we don't know. Okay. And where was that question asked? Directly in the chit. What do you really want? Oh, really made all the difference because I don't know what is real. So really want se kahan milega? I don't know. So this is inquired in the chit. Okay. So you cannot see space directly. You have to go through those stages. So right now we can understand space logically. Okay. So to be able to see space directly, you will have to do it via your faculty called buddhi. For that, you have to first awaken the faculty called Chintan, for which you have to first develop the Chitran, for which you have to study. So those are the 3 steps written there. You have to study and understand. Then you have to adopt and concentrate, which is called Manan. Then you have to do Sakshatkar. And then if you do both, you will be able to see space directly. Till then, how do we see it? We see it as a glimpse or a possibility, or the way we've been trying right now. Okay?
So is it only this is the only
This is
method?
the only way. There is no other method.
Is there any other method?
No other. The other method is
if they say you see directly.
Yeah, the other methods are all that. Bendakaya pakoda, barnekaya pakoda, all man ka pakoda. There is no other way to see it. It's all imagination.
Only till Chitran.
Only via buddhi. If you want to see Vyapak directly, only via buddhi. Till then, you can image it using the chit, like we did right now. We just did it right now. Between yesterday and today, we can suddenly see space just by paying attention. So we have to pay attention. Yeah, within ourselves. And you can, uh, yeah, you're experiencing my skin, but to understand, yeah. Which is why even with chai ka experience, we describe how a particular dish tasted to somebody. No matter how much you describe it, till they don't taste it, it is not an experience for them. So, yeah. Look inside and outside. You have to look inside for the self, outside for existence, inside and outside for relationship. Because I got married and my wife comes and says, "Chalo khana banayenge." No, I am looking inside myself. बोला आपने शादी काय को किया? You should have stayed inside yourself. Why did you marry if you wanted to go inside yourself? You have to do both. You have to see inside and outside.
I need clarity into, like, as you said, the only way is Sakshatkar Bodh, right? That is a way. And right now you said, like, if we pay
For
attention,
different things, Didi. For
like,
T, you have to use the man. For Vyapak, you have to use the buddhi.
so I want to know whether it is the Sakshatkar and Buddhi is totally
Without
at the zero, or we are using
Not zero.
Sakshatkar and Buddhi
We are
also.
not using any Sakshatkar and Buddhi right now. That is why it's called 4.5 Kriya. Nobody is using Sakshatkar and Buddhi. Others, we would not be so Buddhu. When there is no Buddhi, there is Buddhu. So to use Buddhi, you have to get out of, first you have to want to not be Buddhu, then learn what is Buddhi, then take the Vastu of Buddhi, you have to study it, you have to do Shravan, you have to concentrate on it, and then we'll be able. Right now, there is no Sakshatkar. Shunya, Zilch. The German word is called Zilch.
Because the information is there that,
It's Chitran.
like, I am in this space. I heard this 1,000 times. I am in space.
That's Chitran.
Like, but like, जैसे कहते हैं ना कि fish is in the ocean but still thirsty. Like, why there is something which is still feeling, I want to experience something. I want to experience God. Like, still that pyas is there. So,
No, God, let's leave God aside. No, let him be somewhere for
or
some
a space, like,
Yeah, so you don't need you have to understand space. This notion of experiencing space has to be relooked at. Alright? You can understand and realize space. And you can do it in 4 stages. And I wrote down those stages here the other day. If you want, I'll write it down again. Every aspect of reality will have to be approached using one of these 4 stages. Either you are going to get a glimpse or bhas. For instance, when we are discussing things here, like before the 24th of December, okay, and today, has your sense of self or that I am increased a little bit? A little bit. What happened? Nothing happened. It's still the same you. You're still eating. You're still going to the toilet twice a day. What happened? Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Nothing changed chemically. Only my attention changed. This is called glimpse of reality. This is called bhas. So, similarly for Vyapak or for God, male, female, transgender,
space, we can say space.
Huh?
Space.
Whatever, right? Because see, now there is a transgender movement, so we cannot, that God will be transgender. Nahin. We don't know. Ababa, don't go there. So, glimpse, bhas. Okay, we should not get killed before we have realization. Others will get slaughtered. So, glimpse, bhas. People kill for all this. Okay, and they get people killed. And then we're going to have a semblance. This is called abhas. So there are some realities which we will understand fully just at the level of bhas and abhas. For example, I am feeling hungry. You don't need to have साक्षात्कार for that. वो भास से ही पता चलता है कि मुझे भूख लगी है ना? How to use this tractor, how to develop a machine can get over here. For the other aspects of reality, like space, this is not sufficient. So you have to do this and then you have to do this. Then you have to go to pratiti or sakshatkar. Then you have to do both. Then you have to do anubhav also for those aspects. So for that you have to do what is needed. What is needed is outside the scope of this introductory workshop. Okay, that is called adhyan. So it's called shravan. It's called manan. It's called sakshatkar. So we have to understand that. All right. We'll take the rest of this reasoning at dinner time because it will take that how to do adhyan itself takes about 10 days. The attention to reality. So one is wanting to understand it and then focusing my attention. So if I really want to understand something, my attention goes there on its own. Just like in a child, when a child is naturally curious to understand something, we don't have to coax it to say you understand that thing. It gets busy with it. Even with something small like knitting, for instance. Or when we teach the child drawing and we don't teach it, it sees another kid drawing and it starts drawing it. So that's how attention works. Once the necessity for something becomes clear to us, the energies are automatically focused there. Yeah, our job is to, demonstrate the fact that it is needed. And that is one fundamental um, role of education. The biggest and most probably important and difficult uh, phase of education is to demonstrate the necessity of everything that is needed. Okay, of the necessity for intellect, the necessity to learn, the necessity to improve, the necessity to behave, and the necessity to do. And then you need to have the content after you've created the necessity. Second phase of education, content. The third phase of education, delivery. What is going to be the pedagogy? Are you going to teach it on a board? Is it going to be on the field? Is it going to be by doing it yourself? And then the fourth phase is evaluation of whether I got it or not. So even if you look at the way this workshop is structured, we spent probably the first 1.5 or 2 days just with the necessity. And I purposefully gave it more time because I felt if that's really not in space, I can keep going on and on. And you won't be able to connect to it. That's why I'm even talking of this. Yeah. But we'll take this less questioning. I've already answered the question, Didi. But for it to sink in will take time. And for that you have to get into the Adhyan Vidhi. Yeah, the method of study. So this is the preliminary method, and then we have to understand what Shastra Adhyan or Shravan takes and what Manan takes and what happens in Sakshatkar and what happens in both and so on and so forth. Okay?
Last question here. Like, for example, before reaching to Sakshatkar, in second, Vritti mein,
Vritti and Chitran.
For example, Vritti mein, justice, religion, truth. So, do I have to first, at the second level of Vritti, I have to complete living into justice in relationship?
Yeah.
And with nature in harmony, and then only after living in that way I will reach to Sakshatkar. Is it like that?
Yeah.
So at the justice I understand, to live in harmony in relationship, but how we see as a religion, what will be the actions of people in a real life, where we can say, like, the person is living into their dharma or in a satya. So specifically, if you can share it, because I want to.
We'll do that after dinner time. And really, to be able to understand that, we have to go back to the first phase, which is processing the information. Okay, I will share the slide again. The beginning part is understanding and assimilation and synthesis. So when our synthesis is not clear, then we are not clear about what order means. It's not just people living together nicely with nature. That's a very small part of order. We'll come to that. That's a different line of questioning. Yeah. Same shit all, yeah. It does. It does. So the only way to escape it or to take care of it is to spend about an hour or two with this every day. So basically, when you get in the when you wake up in the morning is a good time. 5, 6, or 7, you basically load, you know, non shit. So then you can face shit. So we basically load this and then stay with it as much as possible. So that's the best way to do it. Yeah, reading is a good way to do it. Sometimes listening. I'll share with you the the resource materials. We have plenty of resource material that you can go through. And if you spend an hour with it every day, then it's somewhere going to stay with you. See, it's not going to be easy. The world, even 300 years ago, was a shithole because nobody there will let you do all this. And today it's going to be even worse. And Bangalore is going to be a challenge. If you're going to work, there'll be a beer bar, there'll be Kentucky fried chicken, 2 or 3 actresses, roaming around on the sky there. And then there is Yapak and there is me. Very difficult. Yeah? It's too much of temptation. The world is out there to tempt you. Like, what is it? In Buddhism, it's called Mara. Mara is the Pali name for Maya. And it is said that Maya comes and tempts you. And for men, the strongest temptation that has been there since before is women. So even when you do sadhana for samadhi, and they use the Agam Tantra Upasana method, they say that the last divine form that you meditate on is called Rajarajeshwari. They have temples on Rajarajeshwari. So you have to visualize Rajarajeshwari as being very beautiful and still worship her. So that's the way they allow you to surpass that. So there are all these, temptations. But as we stay more with the text and the meaning, so what really happens is, um, in our chitran, in the from where we are, our psyche, when all this starts settling in, everything else will start getting lower and lower priority. Okay. Um, yeah. So I'll share that. So we already went through this. So I just wanted to kind of tie this up. So I have put up the discovery here, and this is important. There are 3 discoveries to restate it. One is the immortality of result. What does that mean? This is called parinam ka amaratva. As change continues to happen in the atom, see, we have to accept and admit that there is effort in atoms. Okay, and because there is effort in atoms, we have so many kinds of atoms. Otherwise, you would have only one kind of atom. The entire universe would have had only oxygen or only iron, and none of us would have been there. But because there is a wide assortment of atoms, and we know there's 108 and maybe 110 or 120 or 114, basically there is a change in the constitution. You have 2, then you have 4. One of atomic weight 4, and you have 6 and 18 and 32 and 64 and so on. So that continues till it becomes immortal. You reach an atom with 61 particles, and that's really called the Jivan atom. So this atom has 61 particles, and it is now immortal. It can never be destroyed. This is called parinam ka amaratva. Now this starts experiencing, effort. So this is called shram or conflict. So in animals, the conflict is not very visible. The conflict in animals is only to be able to live. In humans, the conflict takes on the form of the necessity to live with happiness, to not have inner conflict between my living and my thoughts, between my thoughts and my imagination. Okay. Interesting. I can speak the mother tongue of all the people in this room. Huh? Punjabi. No. पर आपको तो मैंने कनेडियन मान लिया तो फिर फादर टंग है ना. But Punjabi sounds cute. I like the sound of Punjabi. अभी तो इंफॉर्मेशन के रूप में ले लीजिए, समझने वाला बाद में करेंगे, है ना. The second is called the resting of effort. Like we want to be in a state of rest, not in a state of conflict, and that is called Shram ka Vishram. And the third one is called the destination of motion. It's called Gati ka Gantavya. So this is called Gatan Punta, this is called Kriya Punta, and this is called Acharan Punta. Okay. So for us, there is an information that there is something to be understood that is sounding nice, and now to pay attention to it. Okay. Uh, but when we are able to get a glimpse of this, it's pretty exciting. The way it has been postulated. So what does that mean? It means for us, and there were some people who had questions, but he's gone off to Dandeli, is that the self or I am never born nor die. Okay, because I didn't exist before I was born. Okay, so I am never born nor die. What can I do? I can evolve to understand. And what is the evolution towards? It is towards awakening. And what is the purpose of such awakening? To live and to fulfill. And what will I do after I have awakened? I will inspire. इतना ही है कहानी. इस बीच में बाकी सब है. There is a house and there is a family and there is this and that and the pains and everything and the travails of human life. But really, these five, so the top three really capture the essential discovery in this darshan and in this philosophy, and the rest actually follows. So what we'll start after lunch today or sometime is, given all this to be true, what do human relationships look like? Because now we will be able to understand who we are relating with and why. Otherwise, we don't know. I mean, what do I do with this person that's called a wife and a husband and a brother and a sister? What do I do with society? If I know that they all have the same destination and we are all headed on the same highway, right, towards the same toll booth, then the purpose of the relationship is clear. Otherwise, it is some assumed purpose. Okay? So I will just punch in the words here and then we'll proceed. So the immortality of result is called Gatan Punta. Gatan Purnata or constitution completeness. So what does it mean? It means that we are all made in the same way and we are exactly the same and we are heading towards the same goal and all of us want the same thing. So the resting of effort, not the rest of effort, the resting of effort is called Shram ka Vishram. This is called Kriya Purnata or activity completeness. Okay, so which means the 10 activities. And the destination of motion, this is called Acharan Purnata or conduct completeness. And this basically means that the 10th activity is fully aware. Okay. What are the implications for us? So what is birth and death? It is the body that is born and it is the body that dies. The self attaches to the body via the brain. So in animals, when the self is formed and it has the will to live, it starts by assuming that I am the body and it tries to live via the body in animals. And after it goes through the cycle in animals, which is called Jivani Kram, which can take, let's say, a very long time, the second orbit or the last but one orbit, which is the Vritti, yeah, and the one above that activate, and then they have a need to express, and that can no longer be possible via the animal body. That's when the human body is formed on its own in nature, just like the animal body was formed on its own, and the coconut tree came on its own, and water came on its own. You have the human body coming up on its own, and this then associates itself with the body. So it enters the womb in the 5th month. That's when the mother knows that the baby is moving. That's when it comes in, and yeah, that's how it attaches itself. It chooses the womb. Yeah. If you are fully realized, you can choose the womb. If you are not fully realized, you will go to the womb that or the set of people that you are used to, that you have from past associations. So typically, you may end up choosing the same set of people over and over again, or the same lifestyle over and over again. That's what most of us would do. And for the very basal level of development, uh, let us say, which is just transition from animal bodies to humans, they may choose wherever their addictions are available. So the lowest level of choice is the afflictions or the addictions. दारू अच्छा लगता है तो आई डोंट केयर माँ बाप किधर गए, जहां दारू मिलेगा वहां जाऊंगा. You even see it today, right? A lot of people or children would abandon their families for the sake of some addiction. Same way. Mostly it is to do with the family or the lifestyle. Very rarely it is to do with purpose, on where my purpose would be fulfilled, because I don't know what my purpose is. My purpose is the addiction, or my purpose is to be able to be next to my parents. So I'll go back to where I came from. And around the same region also the lifestyle. So the lifestyle is another criterion for the Jivan to choose its next journey. Yeah. No, it can't. Once you've tasted masala dosa, you won't go back to grass. And plus now you're dependent on some fellow to come and feed you. अभी इतना आपके अंदर है ना, you have now the ability to do what you want. Why do you want to go back to being servile? वो बांध के रखेगा, वो मारेगा, how dare he? I'm not going back. And also the necessity. So that's one aspect, but also because you said vritti and chit, um, it cannot be fulfilled in that low a domain. Once it has developed at a very basal level, it can. So we call that the Brahant Pad Chakra. We won't cover it in this session. We can. Uh, at the very basal level, it does. It can. So oftentimes, when we hear the news or we look at some events today and we find that, or people say that this person is like an animal and they should be locked up. So sometimes they're just killed. I feel, now this is not like a truism coming from the darshan, my guess is these people are like recent entrants and they're heading back. They're like crazy things that people do that are unimaginable. I mean, especially when it comes to crimes on women or children, and sometimes it's just beyond me. I just don't understand. So it just seems like very animalistic and yeah, not human at all. There was a guy who fathered 5 children with his own daughter in Austria and kept all of them locked up in the basement for 21 years. He fathered those children with his own elder daughter. I mean, who does that? It's just. He was never, I mean, they just found it out accidentally. That girl managed to, one of his whatever. Now, what is it? Is it his grandchild or his daughter? It's both the same. She broke out and, some things like that. So,
Anna.
Tell me.
So, so when Ramana Maharishi left his home, he was 16 years and then he lived in a cave for almost 25 years. So, in the middle, his mother came to convince him to take him home back, right? And then, there is a story saying that, she attained self-realization via Ramana Maharishi by living with him for some time. So, does this mean like, is it like his self was in connection with her? Like, is it communication between self and the self or self and the body? I don't know if I put the question right way.
No, you put the question right. But the thing is, this is all heresy. See, we don't know for sure, number one. Okay, there is no way to comment on that because we don't know whether that happened or whether, number one. Number two, we want to study the human being. Ramana is not just a rishi but a maharishi. Okay. So what happens with Maharishis for some time we can just, keep to the side. If it's a question of curiosity, if we remove the specific, names and the people there, um, is it possible for somebody to awaken somebody else directly? Uh, unless that person is capable, really no. One of the reasons my delivery is also of low, let's say comparatively low energy, is that somewhere I feel and truly believe and kind of know that no matter how much I jump, hop, skip and dance, whatever I do, ultimately what's going to happen with you is in your hand. I can only try and assist. So I'm in really no hurry that you understand and because no matter how much I shout and show you a movie about space and this and that the process of, we call it pratyavartan, the process of one activity becoming aware of the other activity has to happen in that individual cell and in each individual cell. Okay. So if there is no or sufficient level of development hasn't happened in the awakening progression, then it's not possible. All right. Yeah, and it's also not replicable and it's also not provable. How do you prove it? Yeah, this is called, there is no pramana for it, there is no proof. And if that were the case, then why is Tiruvannamalai so dusty and polluted and so much of traffic today? Somebody should be fixing it. She said, that nice little town has become very dusty and there's too much of traffic there because there have been too many tourists. To me, now that's like an honest question because you'll have to listen to him. She's not letting her listen. They'll continue to talk. उनको दिखता ही नहीं वही बच्चा है. They want your full attention, and we get irritated saying, "Can't you see? I'm talking." And actually, the answer is they cannot see. Don't you know that I am busy? The answer is they don't know. उनको दिखता ही नहीं है. So to me, that's a open question. That if somebody is so evolved that they can awaken somebody else, why can't they drill sense to the common man on the street saying, "Don't litter and spoil my hometown"? Rishikesh, Rishionkakesh. We were just there. We have a friend who's from Rishikesh, localite. And he said, I asked him, is, meat and alcohol allowed? He said, it's not allowed. Like in milta. I said, how come? He said, because the law states you cannot sell it within Rishikesh. So the guy set up his shop 50 feet after the town boundary. Town boundary is here. Old monk is sitting there. You are legally on the right side. So if all the rishis in Rishikesh are not able to stop alcohol and mutton biryani entering the town, to me the question that so after a particular level maybe, but otherwise there's no point. And it really doesn't help our case. We are still where we are. I mean, good for his mother, but what about me? Yeah. So I just thought I'll put out the discovery here. So I made those spelling corrections here. The self or I am never born nor die, but I come into being. Okay. And there is no way for me to know my birth date. It's impossible. So the body is born and the body dies. I evolve to understand. Okay. Then awaken. Then I want to awaken and then to live, to fulfill. And once I've done that, I will inspire. So this is some inquiry. I think we already know the answers. What have I done for any of this to exist? The answer is nothing. What have I done for space to exist? What have I done for material and conscious units to exist? What have I done for atoms, molecules, lumps, fluids and plants to exist? What have I done for animals and humans to exist? What have I done for the existence of my own body? Nothing. What have I done for my own existence? Have I created any of this all? No. Am I controlling it? No. We are not responsible for any of this. I have not. Is space doing this to me? No, it's just empty sitting there by itself. Okay? If space could correct us, we would all have been much better. Because space has been around forever. There wouldn't have been these horrific crimes and against humanity. Yeah, and still, uh, yeah, self-arranged the planet. Yeah. So those planets in which plant and animal matter hasn't evolved yet will not have a self. So the interesting thing in nature is before the next order of nature arrives, all its dependent requirements are already fulfilled in nature. For instance, before plants come, all the different kinds of atoms, molecules, and water will already be there. Otherwise, you cannot have plants. Just imagine the plant cell starts coming and pani khatam ho gaya. There would be no life. थोड़ा सा पडल था वन थिंग एंड पानी खत्म हो गया नहीं होता है और द प्लांट सेल स्टार्ट ग्रोइंग या if planets have a self, that's what I'm saying. Planets don't have a self if they don't have plants and animals, and at least you need animal bodies. If you ask, is there self on Mars? There is no self on Mars. You want a self for a planet? Same thing that I'm asking. You all are getting it wrong. Yeah. Do other planets have selves? The Jivan, we just call it Jivan. By themselves, yeah. There is no Jivan in them. I mean, may not be unless the other three orders are there. And you don't have a self has to associate with a body. Jivan has to associate with a living body, not with material. It does that, but it turns out to be wrong. मेरा कार टूट गया है ना मेरा कार चोरी हो गया यही प्रॉब्लम है दैट एसोसिएशन goes wrong. So it's not possible. Okay, planet is a material. The Jivan needs the self for the Jivan. It's self word for self in Hindi is Swayam. So the Jivan needs a body to associate with to live as either an animal or a human. Otherwise, it can continue to exist, right? And it cannot directly, for now, let us say, it cannot directly impact anything material without there being a body as a medium, and definitely not an entire planet. I mean, imagine how large its stomach could be. Just belies imagination. Yeah. Yeah.
भैया अगर सब कुछ कोई भी एक प्लैनेट टकराता नहीं है
हाँ
टक्कर नहीं होता है और सब इतने ऑर्डर में है और हमारा शरीर भी इतना ऑर्डर में है तो फिर हम ऐसे क्यों इतना हमको क्यों एफर्ट्स करना पड़ रहा है हम भी क्यों परफेक्ट नहीं हो गए
In Tamil it would be called Paravidi. है ना ये तो ऑर्डर है ही सो ये ऐसा है बिकॉज दिस इज द वे इट वाज मेंट टू बी सो इफ यू सी अवेकनिंग प्रोग्रेशन इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द वे थिंग्स विल डेवलप देयर इज नो सडन जंप इन एग्जिस्टेंस you don't find plants and then suddenly there are animals. You have the whole entire interlinking chain. So similarly, even in Jivan, evolution का process है. I mean, so what is really happening is you have this atom with a central nucleus and these four orbits, and it is an evolutionary process that this will awaken and then this will awaken and this will awaken and they'll work partially and then this will awaken and this will awaken and this will awaken. So all the mistakes that we are perceiving are actually the attempts by this to function correctly. That intervening time is a part of the design of existence. So this awakening progression, development, number 3 कहाँ गया? 1, 2, 3, awakening progression, इधर है. This is a part of the design of existence. So किसी भी धरती पे होगा ऐसे ही होगा. It will not happen that there were animals and suddenly there is a fully awakened man. Because there are 5 orbits, and then each orbit is successively, kind of functioning or awakening. हाँ, पहले मन जागृत होता है, फिर वृत्ति होता है, फिर चित्त होता है, फिर इनके बीच में चलता है कि वृत्ति चित्त के अनुसार चलेगा कि चित्त वृत्ति, हु विल रन अकॉर्डिंग टू हुम. अभी भी देखिए, आई हैव, इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग हाउ द थियोरी फिट्स इन इनटू रियल लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस और हाउ वी कैन वैलिडेट इट. I have imagined or made up my mind that from tomorrow I will not eat sweets. Okay? But when I see sweet, then the tongue starts. Then you say the tongue I could not control myself. The I that decided will not eat sweets is not able to control myself. So what is the myself? The man. So who is working according to whom? The chit has become a slave of the man. Then the chit will work according to the vritti. The vritti will say, fellow, you go and get some money. Okay, then the chit becomes according to the vritti. The chit has to become according to itself. So all the content that we are talking about here is the content of the sakshatkar. So what is true? So when the chit has its own content, the chit can control the vritti and the vritti can control the man. This is swatantrit or self-regulation. So स्वतंत्रित, स्वयं में तंत्रित versus परतंत्रित, है ना? Like I settle into the fact that I have to be in relationship, and now no matter how you are, I will fulfill the relationship. This is called nyaya, because I don't want to be disturbed. I don't want to lose my peace of mind because of your foolishness, but that's what ends up happening. And then of course I have to blame you, right? Because of you this happened. So this whole blame game is because we are not able to protect ourselves from the other person's inadequacy, because we ourselves are inadequate. And what is our inadequacy? The various activities in us, in the various orbits, right? The fourth and the third and the second. The second one should be the one that prevails, but it is running according to the fourth or the third. And that's why crimes occur. And that's why some crimes occur when the person is drunk. जितना अपराध होता है ना बहुत सारा पेपर में, आधा जो है दारू पी के होता है. Because you lose your control. Why? What is happening is that my ability to control my actions has been lost because that alcohol has taken over my brain. It is loosened up my own control over my own actions. तो इसका आपने जो पूछा उसका 2 आंसर बनता है. In short, one is that is the design is in existence. वो existence का part है. Why is it a design in existence? Because any development in existence is gradual. There are no quantum jumps. There's nothing happening very suddenly. It's not that you have plants and you directly have the elephant's brain. You have a whole series of collecting structures going all the way up to the brain. Okay? It's like asking, if the elephant is so successful, why should we have had ants or, smaller beetles? Why could not we have had the elephant directly? Because it's a more beautiful animal. Why have all these little ugly animals in the middle? खाद भी इतना देता है, इतना जेंटल भी है, सुंदर भी लगता है ना? So why have this chipkali and all these cockroaches and all these people? सीधा ही होता. तो उसका आंसर ऐसे ही है. So similarly in the self, maybe यही हो रहा है, even in the जीवन. So not only is there progressive development or evolution in the different orbits of the Jivan, that's a technical answer, but also who will listen to whom is a big thing. So those people who are actually visionaries and who end up, achieving something have 2 attributes. Even today, they have a very strong chitran and they're able to control their vritti and man to listen to that chitran, which is why they're successful in business or in science or in anything. And those who don't have such a strong chitran and cannot control their vritti and man end up wasting time. I'm dreaming of making a big business and then मैं ओढ़ के सो जाता हूँ. I'm not able to follow it through. सपना तो हर कोई देख रहा है ना, कर नहीं पा रहा है. क्यों? एक तो सपना is not strong enough and the second is I end up falling for sapna. Sapna the girl. I mean, I get distracted. That's what I meant.
भैया क्वेश्चन ये है कि
जी
जब
बोलिए ना.
ये वास्टनेस तो बहुत है, मतलब जो प्रोसेस है पूरा ये बहुत वास्ट है, बट हम लोगों का डेफिनेट लाइफ स्पेन है, तो रोल भी डेफिनेट होगा कि हम लाइक प्रिस्क्रिप्शन एक तरीके से कि हमारा पूरी व्यवस्था क्या रोल है और हमें वही करना है। अगर हम वो कर पाते हैं या कर पाते हैं नहीं, वही करना है। और मुझे जो करना है वो सब एवरी डिफरेंट ह्यूमन बीइंग के रोल से अलग है, ये सबका रोल ही एक है।
So, so the fundamental laws of behavior will be the same, and we see that all of us have fundamental laws of being. Okay, so we will have a law for our intellectual sphere on how we'll think and what we'll think. So our understanding will be common, which is knowledge or gyan. Okay, our acharan or behavior के लिए जो fundamental laws है, and what are the fundamental laws? You see them in these three spheres. One is an intellectual law, the second is behavioral law, and the third is natural law. Same thing, material, behavior, intellectual. Spiritual law हमको बनाना नहीं है, बना हुआ है. All this is already made. So I have to align myself according to it. So that basic law of alignment will be the same. For instance, I will not steal and I will produce for my own living. Let's say this is a law. How many ways can you produce? Innumerable. How many things can you produce that are needed for humans? Innumerable. From this little button to the thread to, the chashma frame. There's so many things to be produced. We'll be different in all these ways. But it's all with the same fundamental goal and following the same basic niyam. Alright, I will take care of my child. How many ways are there to do it? Plenty. I have to take care of my parents is a law. Let us say, one of the laws that there. So all human beings will take care of their parents. Are they going to do it in the exact same way? The answer is no. No. The planet is not a cell. The planet is of material order. It's just a stone. Every planet is just a material order. Correct? Yeah. It's the same as having Jivan. That this planet has got innumerable, at least 700 crore Jivans, as many humans as you can see. And in that, add the number of alive langurs and elephants and chickens. Yeah, all of that. Those are the number of Jivans that exist on this planet. Yeah, they are associated with different bodies. In the living beings, all these Jivans are associated with the body and not with the planet. The Jivan association is not with the planet. It is with the body. So on a planet, so you have the material order and then you have plants and then you have animals and then you have Jivan. Okay. So Jivan starts associating with an animal body, not with plants. So the neem and etc. So, plants don't have Jivan very clearly. Animals and humans. And in animals, so chickens and goats and cows and camels and all of them. Of course, the chicken population is fluctuating very highly because it is born and then somebody eats it up. It is born repeatedly. So that Jivan keeps coming back. So my hypothesis is chicken Jivan must be getting fed up after some time कि मैं वापस मुर्गी नहीं बनूंगा. मैं पैदा होता हूँ खा जाता है, मैं पैदा होता हूँ फिर खा जाता है, हद हो गई. So he'll become an elephant or something. It will become a protected species that the government is protecting. Fish has life, but only some fish have Jivan, like the dolphins, the whale. The little ones don't.
Yeah, and as of now, the understanding is that the whole human Jivan is in the process of awakening.
Yeah.
It is a very slow.
Yeah.
Right. And as an individual, if I look at it, we see that a lot of things are happening in the outside us. That a lot of things are getting disturbed, and human beings are doing it, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes we get concerned more of why I have to do something to protect all these things or to contribute all these things. To what extent it is valid?
It is valid. Our concern is valid. But if our concern is disturbing us, see, we will be concerned and we will act. But the thing is our action coming out of pain or reaction, or is it a definitive step? All right, a very defined definitive step. For instance, um, this is like there was a story of that it used to come on the phone long back, that there is a boy by the side of a seashore who is throwing, the waves have come and it has washed up some fish to the and there are thousands of fish, and the boy is throwing the fish back into the ocean, and somebody comes along and says, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm saving a life." And that boy says, the man says, "But that is silly. There are lakhs of fish, and there's no way you can save all of them. What difference will it make?" And the boy's answer is, it made a difference to that one. So it's something like that. You can't change all of it because evolution itself is so vast. There is no way you can protect an entire planet. So if we have this, if we have, and we are settled into this understanding of state, of this is called Sthiti Satya. What we saw as units and space is called stateful truth. It's called Sthiti Satya. Okay. You have to focus on all four. So you'll have to focus on all four dimensions, and there can be different phases for your focus. So you will have to focus on, so as part of your study, you will have to focus on your intellectual understanding. Okay, and this is called the life of a Vidyarthi or a student. So for instance, for these 10 days, we decided to become students. Alright, we are in the Vidyarthi phase. So similarly, every day, you can devote time to being a student. You become a Vidyarthi for some time for your own development. Because I want to evolve, because I am curious, it's going to help me, it's going to help fulfill my curiosity, or it's going to help me become a better person. So I have to devote part of my day to being a Vidyarthi. Then I will have to devote part of my day to being a grihastha, a family man. Okay. Then I will have to go into the material dimension, into occupation. This is called vyavasai. And then I can give some time to society for social good. Like in my day, I give 2 hours every day for social purposes, but that is intellectual in nature. So that's my preference. What I do is I compile books. I try to protect these teachings, protect as in, secure them digitally, uh, basically get transcription done. So many of us do many different things. And I have decided that I will give 40 to 50 days every year to travel and teach. But it's also beneficial for me. It's not just one way. But that's my choice. Somebody else may decide that the better thing to do is to plant trees. So you will be working here. So one will have to really work on a balance of all four. So we will have to work for our student life. So there will be a student life. There will be a material life for the day, right from having a bath, shaving to working and, making soap and whatever it is that we do, taking out oil or whatever it is. And we will have to give time to the family. So there will be a wife and a child and a parents and the responsibilities that come with it. And then there has to be some definitive time for social good. In a given point of time, based on what our purva pravritti is, our disposition is, one of them may be higher. Like when Gauri and I were married, we hardly got time to live as husband and wife. We were with my family and I was working, earning money to pay for my education. And then we went off to being students and we lived like hostelers for about 5 years. We were basically like in a hostel. Within a year of marriage, we were living in different hostels. Yeah? I mean, reading this and discussing this, and we never had our own house for many, many years. We still don't. We're again back to, becoming, I am a hosteler in my own house in Pune now. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like I have a room that Gauri calls my den. I don't come out of it. I come out of it, but basically nobody talks to me when I come out of it. so, so one has to decide how much time to give for each. Sometimes circumstances will decide or enable you to do that. Sometimes circumstances will not allow you to be a student for a very long time. So if the family is complaining that we are not giving time, it is probably true. We are not giving time. Yeah, but then that's what. So which means that our priorities are, not even. They're not balanced. And sometimes giving time to family also means doing what the family requires. May not be what I would like to do, which could also mean just sitting and talking about gods and goddesses, or, sometimes doing some kind of puja, sometimes going out for a walk with them, sometimes, even going out for dinner, and things like that. It can become difficult because our mind may not be in it, especially when we are transitioning. So I think, yeah, so in this journey, it helps to acknowledge that we are also work in progress. If I assume that I am perfect, then I'm going to become very self-righteous about it, and then I'm going to end up denying other people. So one of the things to understand really, and this is why it is called an abhyas or practice. It's a very beautiful term, that this part of the practice is called, uh, I misplaced my phone somewhere. If somebody can, I suddenly remembered my phone. Uh, no, I brought it here and I did something with it. I don't know. Oh, where was it? It was in the room. Yeah, because I kept it there and I thought it went off somewhere. Uh, this is called Shastra Abhyas or literature practice. Reading the Shastras, and this has about 12 Shastras. Yeah. So this is part of our Shastra Abhyas. So we can give time every day for this. Uh, I was recently somewhere and people are saying, and there was this guy who said that my wife gets irritated when I read this. What should I do? My wife doesn't understand. So he was blaming the wife. I said, simple, wake up before your wife. So wake up, the wife gets up at 6 o'clock, get up at 4 o'clock. And at 5:55, pretend to go back to sleep. And let her wake up before you. And tell her, mujhe utha dena 6:10 ko tomorrow. At 5:55, go back to sleep. So if we really want to do it, if we want to do things in a non-conflicting manner, it's possible. For some reason, our mindset, not for some reason, basically Brahm is affliction, is that we are ending up blaming some external faculty for my sorrow. And we'll see that, there is this human tendency to do that right now. And so one can do that. So we can do this Shastra Abhyas. We can take out 6 months. We can take out 2 months. Like we took out 10 days. Everybody knew we're not going to do yoga by the river and, have tandoori paneer for dinner. You didn't sign up for that. We didn't show you the plate and menu थोड़ी भेजा था इसके कि आपको ये सब फर्स्ट डे का मेनू ये है, सेकंड डे का मेनू, थर्ड डे, फिफ्थ डे हेड मसाज मिलेगा, सिक्स डे अभयांगा मिलेगा, कुछ नहीं है. You signed up, the something, कुछ तो बुद्धि. So we take out time for this. This is called Vyavhar Abhyasa. So what is Vyavhar Abhyasa? Vyavhar Vyavhar Abhyasa is to take the understanding from the Shastra and to implement it in my living in a way that is not conflicting. Which means I am going to be trying and practicing what I believe to be right, what I have gained from the teaching. But I will not impose it outside. And if the other person is not ready, I will have to figure out how to accommodate their needs, at the same time hold on to my. And really, when it comes to Vyavhar, we'll see that the values in Vyavhar, let us say like trust, like respect and affection. If I don't let go of trust, respect and affection, there is no reason or way the other person can fight with me. I am somewhere either disrespecting somebody or showing my grina. I'm saying you're an idiot, you're a fool, or you're wrong. I am basically saying either you're not as smart as me, or your belief is wrong. Okay, I am stupid. Something is going wrong. And that means that I am also kacha. So I have the theoretical knowledge, but it's not getting translated into practice. That's the second step I've written here. Understand. The second I've written adopt. So you have to also adopt it. That is called abhyasa. So this is called vyavhar abhyasa. This is called karma abhyasa. Okay, work. And this social one is called, again, these are just names, is Samagra. Yeah. समग्र व्यवस्था में भागीदारी. What has happened so far is that, and you see, it's beautiful. It is actually to do with each one of these four things we've been talking about since day one. And the imbalance that we have today is because of this. Somebody is doing only karma abhyasa. The whole world is busy doing this, working and working and working and accumulating money and trying to do something with the senses and ignoring the family or themselves, their own development. Or somebody who's an intellectual will say, I will only continue to think, I will not work. You give me sponsorship. And he will ignore his family. Somebody who goes totally into the family, let's say if I think of my mother and my grandmother and those people, they spend their whole lives working in the kitchen and taking care of the kids. They were missing from the picture. उनके साथ क्या हो रहा है उनको पता ही नहीं है. Alright? And somebody who goes to save society ends up ignoring their family or their own earnings. So then they need sponsorship from somewhere. They need funding. तो अभी तक ह्यूमन बींग्स ने जितना भी ट्राई किया है, एंड समबडी हु गोज इनटू स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ बोलता है ये सब माया है, ये सब गया काम से. So he lets go of everything, and then his wife is saying, but why did you marry me? And all of humanity cannot become like that. We'll stop existing. If all of us became sannyasis, as a race, we will cease to exist. Finish ho jayega. Then there'll only be the monkeys and the langurs. We've all be over, right? If all of us become spiritual, the way it is today, if we become brahmacharis and spiritual and renunciates, life will cease to exist. And if all of us become sannyasis, who will feed the other sannyasi? Because you need common people to feed the sannyasi. सब सन्यासी हो गए, अब मेरे को खाना कौन देगा? So then you'll have to start working. So logically so it's not a design for society. Human society के लिए कोई design ही नहीं है. So the beauty of this is it is actually not separable. You need all four. Okay? At one point in time, one may be more focused. For example, you got married. Now you have to pay attention to the wife. You can't say, I have signed up for this 20-day lecture to idhar hi rahe, main jaake wapas aa jata hu. You have to spend that 1 year with your wife. You have a child. Like they have a child. Now he has to take care of the child. You are in the family phase right now. So these are different phases of our life. That's also interesting. This is the first phase we start with as a student. You know, the world today gives us 16 years to set this right. The problem is we don't have the content. So then we enter Grihasthasrama, and then we realize I did not learn, my schooling is incomplete. That's what happened to me. When I was in Bangalore and working, and my father came and tried to set up my family life, I said I have to go back and study. He says, what do you need to study? You're already 25. Ho gaya. You're earning, take a flat, take a loan, buy a flat and, get married. And I said, I have to go back to doing this. And so this is what happens. And then we want to give time to society or do something good for society, but we don't know what to do for society. We'll see that there are like 25 problems in society. Which one do you fix first? And there is no permanent solution. So in this path, one of them may kind of be ahead of the other at one point in time, but over a long period of time, you have to kind of find a balance. And to fund all this, you need Mr. Gandhi, or money basically. Because you have to start somewhere. So for those people who already have that sorted, it's less of a problem. For those people who don't have this sorted, then they have to try and do it. And then if you use the rules of the Shastra to procure it, you find that it doesn't yield. There's a yield problem. There's a conversion problem of goods to price, to money. So then you have to apply some temporary fixes. Even in science, when you come up with an equation and sometimes some things don't fit, so you just create a global constant. It's a number. You remember math, you put a global constant. It's called a global constant. Once you put it, this is a universal constant. We don't know what it is, but if you put it, Shanti hai. The equation now makes sense. You will get the result. If you remove it, the result will not come. So you have to put a universal constant. The universal constant is paisa will come from XYZ source, from my say, not from theft, but you basically put a universal constant, and that is different for different people. So that's a bit about. He's been listening to this for 8-9 years now, and yeah, but I think come in touch with the darshan only recently. He was listening to the Jivan Vidya version of it. So are we close to lunch time? It's 1:25. So let's break for lunch. I'll just close this. So you can read this at home. Okay, let's just go have lunch. Very simple. Just so to, in fact, this table will help you avoid the confusion. This table is from our website, the Darshan website in English. There is non-living matter, physical and chemical phenomena of atoms and molecules. This is the planet. There is living matter, which is also activity that respire and grow. Plants, insects, animal, human body, including the brain. There is conscious matter, which is also activity. Single, constitutionally complete atom with will to live. Okay? Which becomes awakened. There is space, void, no activity. And there is coexistence. 1, 2 and 3 is there inside 4. इतना ही है existence. ठीक है ना? There is nothing more. One table. इसको बोलते हैं यॉर्कर, है ना? जो 20 का विकेट को तोड़ता है. It's an in swinging yorker that beats the middle wicket. Finished. Right? There's nothing. So कुछ नहीं. नाउ अभी कंफ्यूजन क्या है? कॉन्शियसनेस इधर है, ये कॉन्शियसनेस है, ये कॉन्शियस हो गया. सी इधर वी हैव अ गॉड दैट इज कॉन्शियस, और द स्टोन्स आर कॉन्शियस, और द कॉकरोच इज कॉन्शियस. We are adjusting, but our body is already in coexistence. Body is already in coexistence. Self we are adjusting. हिंदी में जैसे फिजिकल केमिकल फिनोमिना, मतलब भौतिक रासायनिक जो वस्तुएं हैं, है ना, इसको हम बोल रहे हैं पदार्थ, जो जीता नहीं है, ये जी नहीं रहा है. जो जीने वाली चीजें हैं वो क्या है? ये जो भौतिक रासायनिक वस्तु मिलकर प्राण लेते हुए, प्राण छोड़ते हुए, और ये प्रजनन होता है, इसको हम जीना बोलते हैं, लिविंग. जिसमें प्रजनन क्रिया है. जिसमें यदि प्रजनन नहीं है तो वो जी नहीं रहा है. लेकिन ये अभी चैतन्य नहीं है. चैतन्य क्या है? ये जो भौतिक रासायनिक पदार्थ थे, ये मिलकर जब गठनपूर्ण परमाणु, ये जीवन परमाणु बन जाता है, इसका नाम चैतन्य है. और चैतन्य में जीने की आशा है. जीने की आशा से प्रारंभ करता है, उसके अनंतर ये सुखपूर्वक जीना चाहता है. सुखपूर्वक जीने के लिए इसको समझना ही पड़ता है. जैसे हमको बारिश से भी यदि बचना है तो समझदारी चाहिए, है ना. पिछले बार इधर कुत्ता आ गया तो हम समझदारी से सारे बिस्तर को डाल रहे हैं. रोज हम उसको नहीं भोगते. एक बार कुत्ता है, हम उसका सोल्यूशन ढूंढ लेते हैं. कभी तो कुत्ता आया होगा, पहली बार आपने सीख लिया, अगले बार से आप बंद करना शुरू कर दिए, है ना. तो ये जीवन है, ये चैतन्य इकाई. तो ये भौतिक रासायनिक वस्तु, ये भौतिक रासायनिक वस्तु तो जीता है, और ये चैतन्य इकाई है. और चौथा क्या है? व्यापक वस्तु, जिसको शून्य कह रहे हैं, जो क्रिया शून्य है. ये तीनों क्रिया है. तो अस्तित्व में तीन ही प्रकार की क्रिया है: भौतिक क्रिया, रासायनिक क्रिया, जीवन क्रिया. भौतिक रासायनिक, भौतिक रासायनिक, भौतिक रासायनिक और जीवन क्रिया. और ये शून्य. सहअस्तित्व क्या है? भौतिक रासायनिक क्रिया एवं जीने वाली क्रियाएं और जीवन क्रिया शून्य में है. ये अस्तित्व है. 1, 2 and 3 आर कंटेन्ड इन 4. अभी तक दिक्कत क्या हो गया? हमको ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा था कि ये चैतन्य क्या है. ये व्यापक चैतन्य है क्या? ये हमको देख रहा है क्या? ये मतलब ये जो कॉकरोच है, चींटी है, ये चैतन्य है क्या? हवा में चैतन्य है क्या? हमको लगता था कि हवा में जीव है ना, कण कण में जीव है, पेड़ में भी जीव है. तो फिर हम मुंह पे पट्टी भी बांध लिए, हम सांसने लेंगे, फिर हम क्या है झाड़ू मारते हुए लोग वहां तक गए. देखिए, एक बिलीफ आदमी को कितना साल दौड़ाता है. पीपल झाड़ू मार के चल रहे, यू सी, दे विल टू नॉट हर्ट. देन दैट द साइंटिस्ट और एथियस्ट कम तो बोला, बाबा व्हेन यू डिड झाड़ू, नो, लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स डाइड. झाड़ू मारते हुए, एंड देन यू पुट अ पट्टी. बोला बाबा माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म गोस थ्रू. कोविड तो अंदर जाएगा ना. क्लॉथ मास्क में कोविड रुकता नहीं है। तो वायरस क्या है? वायरस इज एक्चुअली नॉन लिविंग। जो कोविड है, हाँ, is not living, it doesn't replicate. It's an RNA. Usually that's why our Covishield vaccine was an RNA vaccine. It's the world's first RNA vaccine. हाँ, पूना में जो वो है ना, हाँ, और जो रिसर्च है नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ वायरोलॉजी और मेरा घर, वी शेयर अ कॉमन वॉल। मेरे घर के बाजू में है नेशनल। सारा हमारे पूरे इंडिया का जितना भी अभी वायरस है वो उधर ही स्टोर्ड है, मेरी खिड़की से दिखता है। नहीं, अपने यहाँ मल्टीप्लाई नहीं होता है, इट नीड्स अ होस्ट। तभी तो हमको आके जान ले रहा है, नहीं तो खुद ही जान ले लेता। दे वुड ईट ईच अदर आउट। लाइक वी वुड जोक कि अस्तित्व में, आई जोक वंस व्हेन यू वर इन अमरकंटक कि अस्तित्व इज परफेक्ट, एक ही मिस्टेक हो गया। सो माय फ्रेंड आस्क्ड क्या? There were a lot of mosquitoes and flies. I said, the mosquitoes bite us and the fly keeps bugging us. The mosquito should have been food for the fly and poisonous for the fly. The fly would have eaten the mosquito and died. We would have rid of both the problems. Okay, we'll have lunch and we'll come back. What is the time? We'll come back at 3:30. Take a 2-hour break. आराम से सोइए and come back and we'll start with relationship. साबुन बनाएंगे। सो आफ्टर लंच कितना टाइम लगेगा मिक्स करने को? कम से कम, ठीक है। वी दो ही इज गोइंग टू शो अस हाउ टू मेक साबुन। द आइडिया वाज वी हैव समथिंग टू डू व्हेन वी गेट बैक होम। कॉन्सेप्ट वाला है।